In this episode of Carlie's Couch, we talk about busyness and productivity and how constant busyness often leads to stress without real progress. So, how can we reduce that stress and create more meaningful results?
Mm, I'm excited about this because I feel like this is something that affects everybody, and we all can kind of fall into the busy trap.
Yeah, especially nowadays because there's so much culture and everybody wants to show off how much they're doing all the time. And in the meantime, it seems sometimes like it's the quiet folks who are actually making big moves and getting things done. And so it's important to make sure you have like a understanding of what's really pushing you forward because busyness, like we just said in the intro, really does stress you out if you're just doing a bunch of stuff, right? Without um, a real intention and focus. So this should be a good episode for all of you who also maybe feel stressed, through your work
Mhm.
week or getting things done. But first, Carlie, lead us in with the question of the week.
Okay, so this week's question from the couch: what was your best purchase this year so far under $100?
Hmm. So somebody said a resistance band kit, $40 on Amazon. I bet that was Eddie. Was it?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
Eddie.
He was telling me about that the other day.
Yo, resistance bands are amazing. And the the older we get, people are realizing more important mobility is and how that needs to be a thing. And so resistance bands are great for working out, stretching, mobility, all those. So you can find cheaper ones on there too. But it sounds like he got a big daddy kit, like a nice one.
Yeah, I've gotten a few before, but it's boring and I just never do that. So, but kudos to y'all. Somebody
It's
else said
like,
Sonic. Oh, I'm sorry.
no, you're good. I was gonna say it's like either you can take care of stuff now or you can deal with it later. And that mobility is one of those things if you're not really taking care of it or stretching. So
Okay. So somebody else said a Sonic ice maker, and am I guessing that's from like the restaurant Sonic?
yeah, they have a specific kind of ice that's like soft and they come in like little kind of like pellet type things. But the person said they got it from Amazon like as a gift. Somebody brought it for their birthday and it's been like their favorite thing all year.
Yeah, that does sound cool. So they didn't purchase
Um,
it.
yeah, but I guess somebody bought it for him and it was $100.
True.
Someone said a milk. So Amazon been popping on this list. Somebody said a milk frother, which I also love mine. So that's
Right.
a
Look, we
great purchase.
send them East Asian kids to work on this list. Shout out Amazon. Look, kamsamnida, because they go to work. Poor things. Jeez, capitalism is crazy. Milk frother is a game changer, though. I ain't gonna hold you. I don't even like my coffee
Mhm.
without making it with my own thing.
You were
Some,
the first person I knew who had one, so
yeah, like
definitely.
it makes a big difference. What's up with this next one? Jumpsuit from
Someone so first of all, when I ask questions, people saying gifts or links, like I got so many Amazon links, I'm like, guys, I can't click on this
they
from this
always
thing. It becomes a whole thing to try to then find it. But a lot of Amazon links, but at the top of the one that this person sent me, it's like a jumpsuit, like a athletic type of cute jumpsuit. But they're a new mom and they said it's very sexy, very flattering, and like very comfy. And so that was like been their favorite thing.
probably real cheap too. 'Cause I got some stuff up there
Hmm.
on vacation, and it's just like you about to wear that one time, um, and that's that. Somebody else said a coloring book and markers, pencil and crayons. That's cool.
Yep, someone said Air Jordan 2, and I'm like, "Okay, cool, on 100, I'd like to see those. See which ones you got."
They got the fake joint. They got the joints with Shaq going like.
Look, they got
You
them
gotta
hoes
send
from the closet
send the
swap
pic,
meet,
send the
right?
pics, and then
Mhm.
let them know what your boy said.
Man, the last one, I'm not a big fan of capitalism, but I have to use it because of assimilation. So I'd have to say knowledge from my elders. Those cost a blessing of tobacco, old ways.
And I'm not laughing at him. I just think this is so like interesting. But what I guess a blessing of tobacco is a phrase. That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, and
kinda
that
cool.
like yeah, like you bring that and then that's what you have the conversation around and it's a whole thing. So shout out to Asa, man. He gonna be on here soon. But thank y'all for answering this question and sending me so many links that I couldn't click on. I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, that's
But
because we asking on Facebook, huh?
huh?
That's because you when you ask on Facebook.
No, people are sending so if I was on Facebook, I could actually click on the links, but because it's in a question box on Instagram, I can't click on
It
those.
was links in that.
I can't, yeah, they were sending the Amazon links in
That's
there and I
crazy.
couldn't.
No, everybody just writes in there for me. I know I never got, like, a link or nothing random that
I
way.
got 10 links.
Yeah.
I got
Alright.
10. And I
They
was like,
changed
well,
that
I'm just gonna
too.
put one on here, the one that had a description, and that's the one I went with. So
That's real. That's real. Well, thank y'all for y'all answers. Those are good answers, though. In general, I'm not mad at this list at all.
do you have a favorite purchase this year under 100?
Mine would have been what we had already talked about, so I'm not gonna go in it too much, but I would say my supplement because it costs 72 or $76 with tax.
Look,
Um,
inflation might have went up because I looked that whole up afterwards. It was 120.
but I get it through my nutritionist
Oh,
at the store, and it's
mm.
50 something. It's $56 plus whatever shipping. I just bought one for Damo the other day for his birthday because we were talking about we have our smoothie chat. So, and then I don't know how long one of them lasts, but I'm on my second one probably since the summer, so maybe like a month and a half, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, maybe.
That's
So
pretty good though, especially with all the benefits. So,
yeah, yeah, it's I think it's worth it. What about you?
um, I should know the answer to this because it was my question. Um, I'll say I'll say, okay, so it's we just had this heat wave. I bought car seat covers because my car it be so damn hot. I burn my leg getting in my car. So one of my favorite best purchases this year was little car seat covers. So I didn't burn my legs or my back getting into my car. Even with
What's
my little baked potato joint over it,
mhm.
my car would still be so hot that and I don't even have leather like that. I just have the little cloth, but that shit was still so hot.
Oh.
So those have been great. What was your question?
Oh, I was asking what's the material, but if because you already have cloth seats.
Yeah, it's like a waffle something that absorbs heat and cold, so it doesn't do either. So
So you
that
have
and a
to take it
steering wheel
off
cover.
when you go in the car.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, no, I don't take it off. I can just sit on it. It just like it hooks around it.
Mm.
Yeah, it was cute. They look like little flowers on the bottom part. They're real cute, but not hot. And so very practical. And I something I'm like every time I get in my car, I'm like, I need to buy that. Finally
Mm,
bought it. Great.
good.
Just in time. All right.
Alrighty. Thank y'all for answering the question. And now let's get to talking about busyness. So Carly, what what is busyness?
Busyness is whenever you feel like you're like going like doing a bunch of stuff. Like I feel like it's kind of like when you're spinning your wheels. Like you're doing a bunch of things, but like it's not really moving you forward to your part. Like it's a feeling of constant activity, but not a lot of progress necessarily to show for all the things that you're doing.
Is that an official definition or what you're saying about it? And I just asked that because I would feel like technically busyness is just being busy, which is having a lot to do. Because you can be, and if you disagree, let me know. But I feel that you can, be like, hey, I have a lot of things to do today. I'm busy. And that's very valid. But I do for sure understand that for the purposes of like our convo, what we're talking about, I think I definitely understand, and most people understand what we're saying when it's like you just got a lot to do, but in your mind, it's almost like you're making it more important than it has to be. Like you don't have to really be doing all of that. You're just needing to do.
Hmm.
But I'm curious if that's part of the real definition.
The technical definition says the state or condition of having a great deal to do, the quality of being full of activity, being
Mm.
excessively detailed oh, that's different. But so full of activity and having a great deal to do. So very basically, just always having a bunch of stuff to do,
Yeah.
or
So
the
having
state of.
having a lot to do, and so yeah. So I will say off top that also like that doesn't mean you should that is necessarily wrong or bad when you have a lot to do. And like I said, like if you feel like you find yourself kind of always like, "Oh, I'm busy," or "busy, busy, busy, busy," and like that's like a badge of honor, and or you are stressed out and everything from it, then I think it is time to assess what does busyness really mean to you and for you in your life, and like, is it really busy or is it like unnecessary busyness?
And I think I thought about this episode because I had talked to like a few different people and I'm like, how y'all doing today? Good, just busy. Everybody just busy, just busy. And that's like, okay, cool. Yes, there is a plethora of things always to do. I think it's what you said is like wearing it like a badge of honor, like almost like it feels good and like worthy in this hustle culture.
Yeah, it's just like another kind of go to response, like saying you're fine. And I've, in I don't know how long it's been, maybe within the past years, have started trying to catch always saying like, "Oh, I'm busy," and just try to think of something, just even a little more descriptive or a little bit more specific when actually saying how I am, because also that's not how you are. And maybe there's also something to that too. If somebody says, "How are you?" and you're like busy, it's like, okay, that's what you're doing, but
Mhm.
are you? And so it's almost maybe feels like if somebody's always saying like I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy, maybe that is a person and I'm all off the cuff and just coming up with stuff. But maybe that does mean as I'm busy getting a phone call, maybe that does mean that you are kind of identifying with the busyness by always kind of responding, I am busy.
Mhm. And I think that's when it becomes an issue, is like when you're identifying with it or like feeling like if I'm not busy, like you're not doing anything, like people who always have to like busybody, like always doing things all the time. And the big issue with it is like it's cool to be busy, life happens, but it's that it can lead to burnout and it can lead to overwhelm and it can lead to you not doing things well because you're so busy and spread so thin. Like that's the issue.
Yeah. And the fact that, so like you said, if the term busy means you're always doing stuff or you're, doing this and this and this and this and this, then of course you're going to be burnt out because our bodies need rest. Your brain needs time to relax. My eyes are so itchy right now. Y'all probably can. I was like, I wish I had some eye drops. You can't really tell on this, but they're like so
Mhm.
red. And so it's just like it only degrades the quality of what you're doing anyway. Um, which is what I noticed a long time ago in general, right? So that's why I'm very pro um okay, like I don't have to do this. I don't have to. And like the have to is was it, right? Because sure, maybe and this is a real example right now. Like sure, I have an agenda and stuff I need to fix up, do some things before meeting tomorrow. Do I have to do that right now? I'd be like, not really, because also if I'm at a point where I really need to rest, I really need to chill. It's like I'm really good now and just listening to myself and be like, I'll look at that tomorrow because tomorrow I'm gonna do it in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And or even if it takes a while, it'll still be like better quality or whatever.
Mhm.
And then of course in general, like I think one of the real actual solutions for this is to really be able to tell what's the most important stuff. And if you were doing that, earlier or spreading that out better, then you wouldn't always be doing so much busy stuff to where, oh, the thing you actually needed to do is like lost in the busyness. And, now you're always rushing for something. So all that to say, like, I think you can feel, and even though we're describing it, how stressful it is to consider yourself and to always just be busy and just all these lists, all this multitasking, all this organizing. Sometimes you need to just slow down a little bit.
Yeah, because you're not bringing your best self to anything whenever you are like running around. And then I find myself like very, like I'm more anxious when I'm like doing too much and not knowing what's important. And like, especially my first few years of entrepreneurship, and even recently, like being overcommitted and not knowing what's moving me forward, like led me in this place where I did feel like I was kind of spinning my wheels. And when I was researching, okay, well, what's the difference? Like, if you find yourself like, being busy, like how do we get more productive? And in my research, I found this quote that I really like. And it's by William James, and the author said it was written like a century ago. So Mans was writing with a calligraphy pen, like dipped like a quill in ink back in the day. And he said, in the context of being busy, like he said, he noticed that his countrymen have absurd feelings of hurry and always having no time. In that breathlessness and tension, that anxiety of feature and solicitude for results, the lack of inner harmony and ease, in short, by which with us the work is so apt to be accompanied. And so it's like he noticed that all these people around him are like scurrying to and fro and all anxious and all feeling like they're not getting enough done and always like this lack of inner harmony and ease. Like life doesn't have to be as hard. And so it just kind of made me think about like how in society, like if you're busy, people are like, oh, good for you, she's out there, she's busy, she's doing stuff. But it's like, is it really being productive, and am I okay when I'm always out here like putting 150% effort forward and all these things that might not matter?
Hmm. Yeah, I like that quote because the way he wrote it sounds like how it feels, and it yeah, that feels like how it is when you just don't have anything but stress and just busy, busy, busy moving around. Would you say though that would you disagree that there are times when one needs to be busy?
Oh, no. I think that there are seasons in life when things go crazy. For example, like, small businesses around the holidays. Like you are probably much more apt to
Busy.
be more busy. If there's launches you have for clients, you're probably going to be more busy. Like when like with the launch of baby yams or different things you have going on with your clients. Like there are times when you're going to be busy. I think when it becomes an issue is whenever you're not prioritizing the most important things and you're being busy just to be busy or to do something.
Mhm. I wonder if, and I guess I could say it probably is, but I wonder if it is a feeling or maybe more so a state of being that you can, I don't want to say addicted to because it might not be like you're trying to keep it, but like that you get so accustomed to. Because I think about it, for example, like, yes, sometimes I am just straight up busy, like, because again, I love to chill. So in the days where I really am, like, on a day like today, since I'm on my 10th, 11th hour right now of like, it was actually work, work, work that whole time. And then you podcast for a couple hours, right? And it's like, oh, I'm actually busy. And I recognize though, like in my day to day, like I'm not trying to do that. But what I would notice is that, yes, sometimes and especially when people come over to my house or, um, maybe it's a time where you're chilling, but you like just keep moving around, like you start doing stuff. And excuse me, like that's where it's like, okay, why do you feel like you need to be doing something? And it's almost like it becomes like an ingrained thing that I need to be moving. I need to be doing something instead of just letting yourself chill. Like I really have to tell myself, like, let's just sit down, like chill. It's okay.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's a learned behavior. I think it's something that's socialized. Like we're socialized around hustle culture and always be looking like you're doing things. I think that people equate very heavily a lot of times what they're doing with their personal worth. And so that becomes a different thing. And then on the like physical thing, I think that we get addicted to
It
a
becomes second
certain
nature.
level. Well, it also becomes a certain level of dysregulation in our nervous system that we become
Mhm.
accustomed to. And so whenever we are relaxed and chill and in our parasympathetic nervous system, our body's like, wait, 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 but normally we're doing things. And so it kind of like makes you anxious, like even when you're at home, like just shuffling around with stuff. And so I think it's an amalgam of all of those things.
So then, is it possible to get things done, have a lot to do, get through your list, and do that without all the anxiety and the stress and the heaviness in a different way?
I think so. I haven't nailed it perfectly, so I don't have like a perfect formula, but I do have times and days where I am very busy and I knock it out of the park and I feel really good about it. And I would say for me, some of those things that make it different are like one, if I'm very well taking care of myself, like I'm well slept, I'm well fed, I have been exercising and doing all my other stuff, I'm a more full person and able to accomplish these things. Whenever I'm focused, you mentioned like putting our most important tasks first and just making sure that those things get done. Like
Mhm.
when those two things are in order, like I feel like it's a lot easier for me to move forward in a less anxious, less like
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, so I would agree with exactly those things because there have been periods very recently for me, and of course, again, I would attribute this to gut health and just like very much more mental clarity where I recognize, and I was talking to somebody about this today. It's like for a while there, I kind of recognized that there was no time period between thinking about like what I need to do and getting it done. And all of a sudden, it's like everything would be done by like 1 p.m., 2 p.m. And it's like,
Mm.
oh, and like there are days where it's like, oh, I podcasted, I did 4 meetings, I wrote 6 documents, I read my book, I made lunch, I watched a movie, I hung out with my friends, came over.
You
Like,
ran.
and I was like, how did all this stuff even get done in the day? And it didn't feel stressful, but I think because of planning appropriately slash what you said, like taking care of yourself, if you're in a better space to move through those things, plus um actually not avoiding the important things. Because when we're talking about busyness, like that's when it's like, all right, you start your day out and you're looking at emails, and it's like you can spend 2 hours just trying to clean out your inbox before you do the thing that's the important thing you need to do. And so a lot of times it's really about how you prioritize, I believe, and how you attack things, that makes it feel like, oh, I actually got more done because I got important things done.
Every single time. I'm gonna shout out Coach Ash. Coach Ashley, she was on a podcast during the pandemic, so a while ago. But Ashley Hill, if y'all want to look her up, she's awesome. Coach Ash. And we had a little system because I was telling her I'm not feeling like I'm getting the things I need to done. I'm feeling overwhelmed. And she was like, all right, I want you to text me at the top of every week. Text me your 5 most important tasks. Bless you. I don't know if you sneezed. And
It's not.
I and because I was telling her my bad, and I was telling her like, oh, I'm gonna work out. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. She's like, see, those aren't your important tasks. Those are things you do every day. You get those done. We don't need those. What are the things that will actually move you forward and spend 80% of like spend more of your time on those, and then everything else falls in line. And that really helped me like actually refocus my schedule. And then you and I talked about like making sure that you plan out your next day, like tomorrow, tonight. So I
Mhm.
know what I'm working on. When I wake up, I'm not wasting a lot of time like, what am I gonna do today? Let me wash my dishes. Let me find out.
Yeah, that makes a big difference when you start the day already organized, then it's like you have no excuse for not just starting that first thing on the list. Um, and so again, that's part of like proper planning, I guess I would say. But then it's like when you go ahead and also attack those most important or bigger or harder things, it also hmm, it's also like it sets you up for everything else is like mad easier, right? Like it's almost like
Yes.
if you attack the thing and just get it done, then maybe it's a mental thing too, because like, okay, I got that done, like, and now it's like boom, 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 whatever, and you get the other stuff done more quickly too. It's really like a mind over matter thing because it feels like that doesn't make sense, and yet, it's one of those things where if you can try to force yourself or and get into that practice, then your day really does feel a little bit better.
It does. And like I said, I think it's easy to get busy and like feel addicted to being busy and thinking that. But if you notice that you are busy all the time and you're not getting the things you want to done or the quality work that you want done, some things to think about is like busyness is typically come stems from like doing things just to do things. So a lot of times, like I said, people find value in actually just doing a thing. And it's like not having good time management. You're overcommitting to things. You're saying yes whenever you should be saying no. You're trying to avoid idleness. You're not having good boundaries when people ask you like to help them with a project, even not even just like coming out to a party or doing other things, but it's like helping other people before you make sure you get your stuff done too. And so those are all signs that you're more busy than actual productive. Like
Mhm.
when you're looking at it, like you don't really have a strategic focus. You're doing a bunch of stuff, but it's kind of like a hamster on a wheel because you're not really intentional about how you're spending your time and energy.
And you know why? Like, I feel like at the core of all of that is because when you're being busy is being reactive because you are
Mm,
typically like in all of those kind of examples, you're reacting to idleness. You're reacting to, oh, this just pinged in. Let me look at this. And with
mm.
productivity, it's more proactive. So, like, let's say if you started your day and you already had your list ready, you've already been proactive. And so when you're reactive literally means like you are reacting to your environment. So you're not the one in control. You're not even determining what you're doing because let me check my email and now, oh, I have to respond to this. I have to answer this. I have to do this. I have to, respond and do blah, 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 as opposed to let me get up and do X, Y, Z. And so you're
Mm.
already giving control away from your day. So I think that's really like the biggest like core difference. Productivity is proactive. And so I think that a person could look at anything they're doing and be like, did I react to this? Because even with business walking around the house, you're walking to go get some water and then you see, oh, the sink's full of dishes. I gotta like that's reactive. So you
Squirrel.
can use that to ask yourself a question, yeah, and see like, if this is reactive, that means I might not have to do it right now, unless because things do happen, like like it just happened the other day. It's like there was a mistake on social media, and it's like, oh, we gotta fix that up real quick, right? You gotta react to real fires, and most of the things aren't real fires.
Yeah, that's that cool story about Napoleon who never answered letters. Like people would
Mm,
send him letters 2 weeks. He's like, because if it's still an issue, then it's an
mm.
emergency. We can handle it. If it's not, then it was never an emergency in the first place.
Yeah,
And
that's
that
real.
quote, like people's lack of planning is not like an emergency in my book. And I think a lot of times that's like kind of how things get pushed up is other people how like Chicken Little, like the sky is falling, but your sky might not be falling, and you don't have to necessarily try to solve other people's problems.
Yeah, and I think it's gotten easier over time to look at my task and things that I do in that way where that's where I'm like, okay, do I have to do this right now? Not really. I'm going to bed. Or even like I'm just not going to do this. I'm going to read or do something else because it just I still have the choice. And so I always feel that's when I feel happy because I'm empowered and I'm making choices on what I want to do. And it's like, oh, I feel successful right now because I can choose what I want to do. I don't have to be reactive and be busy and on this wheel. So really, like productivity is the opposite of all the things you said. As far as it's more purposeful, more intentional. It's more meaningful goals, um, not reactive, and it's more quality. And so of course, with all of those qualities, it's going to feel more sustainable, and lead to a greater satisfaction. So you'll feel better and you're not feeling as stressed, even though it may seem like, attacking the harder things or more intentional or bigger things, may be tough. It actually is less stressful than thinking about 100 things that you got to react to. Because also part of being reactive is about considering how other people are think about what you're doing. Like, oh, I gotta respond to
Mm,
this person, you know what I mean? Like, it's still like it's not even about you as much, and you're not putting you first in being reactive all the time. So that's a big part of just feeling, I think, more empowered when it comes to being busy. So to your point earlier, when you were like, and people are always like, "Oh, I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy." Well, you kinda hear like, "All right," like, like, you're not in charge of your day, you're not empowered, like, it kinda
mm.
feel like that, like, it's actually not dope. It's not really a badge of honor for real, for real. And maybe that's something that we can start to do is like change that, change that. What's that word? That's just that's not a stigma. Um, change that like mindset to where it's like people are like, oh, they're so busy, and it's like, okay, but are you productive? And I wonder how
Mm.
people respond to that.
That's a good one, and I love it's like taking charge of your day, owning your time.
Hmm.
And it always feels so much better because then you know you did all the things you set out to do for yourself. Like, I feel
Hmm.
like you putting it as reactive versus proactive is so powerful and kind of helps me think about like, oh, so then my next question to you is, so if someone, let's say, listening to this and they think, damn, that is me, I am more reactive. I already mentioned like planning your day the day before, making sure you're taking care of yourself. What are some other tips or thoughts that you've done or things that have impacted your life to help you know like what actually moves you forward? Like what are some ways you can differentiate between tasks or things that are going on in your life.
I would recommend to people if they don't or haven't, some things like cutting all the notifications off your phone. I don't have any notifications.
Mm.
And I still check my phone all day, but it's still different because I'm checking when I want to. I would say things like not even having email on your phone. And like unless you're a doctor or the beeper, you know what I mean? Like you actually a lot of the things like consider how different and how recent it is that people have so much access to us. I feel bad when I have to text somebody on my team like, "Hey," but I'll do it because I'm like, "Oh, I didn't see you say on another Slack. I got to text you, and I want to do that." And it's like, actually, somebody the other day got upset with me because I didn't answer a text about, and it was some bullshit, but asking me to change a password on somebody else Instagram thing. Like it was a lot that was like, no, and it was nighttime and I just didn't respond. Then they gonna hit me with like the tap back and question mark. And I was like, I'm really not responding now. And so
Yeah,
it's like, why are we so pressed to like get so much response on stuff and like, stuff don't even be important. So I would say that's one of the things you can do to just get stuff from in front of you. Outside of that, it's like take an actual break. Literally take 2 days where you don't check your email at all, like, I guarantee you it's not gonna be the end of the world. I
mhm.
didn't take a real week ever until 2020 when I went to Denver that week, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, that was easy." Like, everything was fine, and sometimes you don't know everything's fine until you actually just stop doing stuff. And then the other thing outside of that, I would say, is to just plan better for like this and this and this and this and this have to be done. This is delegated. And if you don't have people to delegate to, that's fine. But like this has to be done. And this is all that has to be done. And I guarantee you everything else will be fine. So it really is kind of like being a little more hard ass and like owning your time. And you have to do it to recognize that it actually wasn't that deep.
You have to. I think that's so important. I'm gonna make a little infographic because I think these are all great for this week. Um, so I heard discipline, so saying no, making sure you're setting your clear priorities, and over
Look,
avoid over
I don't even not see stuff and look at stuff to not have to say no. Like, there's levels to this. It's
um,
I have read receipts for a reason, and people be like, "Ew, read receipts." I'm like, "Well, for me, the read receipt means, like, you see it says delivered because I just haven't even seen this yet, so that's okay." Like, I
mhm.
feel like it's different if it's like I read it and didn't say nothing, but, like, I didn't see this yet, so, like, you got to move on, and, like, when I see it, cool, I'll either say something, I'll have to mark it unread to come back to it, and I'll let you know, like, "Oh, I'll come back," but, like, yeah, it's levels. You're not even gonna get the no because I'm not looking at that. That's not important right now.
And that is helpful, and I'm glad you have those boundaries. I have friends who don't
No
answer, like,
boundaries.
my homegirl, actually, Kiara, she's in the podcast. She has a flip phone for her work. She don't have
Mhm,
email, don't have none of that. She does not. She turns her whole off at 5 p.m.
mhm,
I'm not talking to y'all. I'm not calling y'all. Y'all know what's up. Like we can talk about this tomorrow. I think the only other thing I would add to that, because do all of those things, is simplifying your schedule, making sure it's not crazy, making sure you have time to do those things that bring you joy, that take care of you. Uh-huh.
mhm. And to scheduling, I would also say I think probably some of the most busy people in the way we're talking about probably don't have a schedule, and by that I even mean, like, Imma do the dishes at this time, I work at this time, I'll do, this at this time, like, have blocks of time so that you know when you're gonna do stuff, because, like, otherwise you'll be all over the place and scattered, that's when it gets weird.
Yeah, and I like the time blocking, like, set for working on, like, a process of thing or working towards a thing, not necessarily results based, because sometimes that can be disheartening. So it's like, Imma do biz dev from 9 to 10 a.m. Imma do this from this time to this time. Imma work on this client, making sure you're doing that. And then whenever you have your whole schedule, you can really evaluate it and look at, is this necessary or is this busy stuff? Like, am I just trying to fill time? I think one of the biggest questions too is if you are so busy, I'm doing air quotes if you're listening, if you are so busy, like, why are you overcommitting? I think that that's a good conversation to have for yourself. Like, do you want to
And
feel more valued? And so that's why you're overcommitting and doing this. And
if you're super busy and overcommitting, that probably means you're not accomplishing what you wish you were accomplishing with all that busyness. Because the only reason I'm overcommitting is because I still need to make more money or like do more of this or get more of that.
mhm.
How could I actually make the tasks I'm doing cover those things instead of like overdoing it and now everything's watered down?
Man, going back to our homeboy with the ink and quill pen from the very beginning, William James. This is the second part of his quote. It is your relaxed and easy worker who is in no hurry and quite thoughtless most of the while of consequences. Who is your efficient worker? And
Yeah.
so thinking about that lightness, whenever you are taking care of yourself, whenever you do know what's most important, you're able to bring your full self, you feel good in spaces, you bring your best self, you have better ideas, you're not feeling rushed. And so
Yeah.
really try looking at your schedule this week and maybe cutting things that aren't important. Try saying no.
Look, start by making a schedule because that's the problem is there's nothing to cut because you ain't make the schedule.
That's
So you
fair.
do
Okay, that's fair.
so make your list of like the top things that you need to do in the week, and then every night, like say what you're gonna get done the next day. And then like the stuff like emails, for example, right? We're talking about, oh, don't check them, blah, blah, blah. But like, yes, of course, I know you probably have to check your email and do your work first or focus on your biz dev or your task you already know you
Mhm.
have to do. Try to just do that first. And then you have your time where you look at email. That's very I'm never mad at somebody who don't respond to no email immediately. And so I'm always kind of blown when people are like, well, you didn't respond. Like, my nigga, you sent that 2 hours ago. Like, get out of here. Like, get out my inbox. And so
Please.
I check my email at 12 and then because here's the thing, you notice it all the time with email, with social, once you check it, you're staying there. You're in there. Like you can't
Yep.
not keep coming back to it. And so it's like, what if you didn't check your email till 12? And then at least it's like you had some time and now, from there you're probably gonna go in and out of it. But like that's what we mean by like making set times to do things that are about other people because now that's not reactive because oh, I'm proactive. I check my mail at 12. And if you don't respond to me by 4, Imma holler at you at 12 tomorrow. And here's the thing, people are so scared of like, "Oh, I don't wanna get fired. I don't want people to blah, blah, blah." Like, no, people just learn that they need to get stuff to you by a certain time, and they learn they
Yes.
need to be earlier. Um, and when you set those boundaries that you were talking about earlier, then guess what? People abide by them, but if you don't set them, they don't abide by them.
You teach people. They learn and they get in line, and it's the
Mhm.
same thing with them respecting people's boundaries. Um, And I love making sure you're doing all your things and really taking care of yourself. Cause then I feel like when you don't, there's a lot of resentment and other things that just pop up. And so you just come from such a better place. So
Mhm.
this
Absolutely.
week, make sure that you so first set a schedule and then go through it and then see what you can cut, see what you can add, see how you can focus on what's important. But remember that being busy is not a badge of honor. Like it's okay to take time. It's okay to take breaks. It's okay to take sabbaticals, vacations, and really figure out what's important to you so that
Mhm.
you can focus on what really moves you forward.
Yes. And please let us know what ends up working for you as you shift from busyness to productivity. And if you have any additional tips, we'd love to hear that on carliescouch.com under the post, on our social, anywhere you see Carlie's Couch, and then we can have this discussion. But don't expect a quick response. Not from me.
Not for me either. Look, I
Not
be trying. I be
right.
replying, but it be
That's
late, but I be replying.
that's
Not for
real.
me.
Right.
Um,
So, have a great, productive, and not so busy week, and we will see you next time.
bye, y'all.